But we're going to do that in just a few minutes. You know we've changed the name of the show also from The Intellect with JR to Facts and Opinion with JR. I'm the host. You know, today we're going to address some things that's been going on. Because, like I say, this show is called Facts and Opinion. And here's a few facts. We're going to start out with the news a little bit. Look, we got things that's taking place around the world today that we keep on forgetting about because we always caught up in our daily lives, all right? Now, we still got the issue going on with China. They still being belligerent. Still got the issue with Turkey having some problem with Greece over the Mediterranean. We still got, you know, China fooling with the Philippines and going up against the United States Navy and the South China Sea. But while all these things are going on, we've got 22 million patriotic Americans that already early voted. Yeah, they got up. They did what they had to go do. I seen the lines, and they long too. They got up and went and did what they needed to do. 22 million of them already. A lot of them Democrat, quite a few of the Republicans. But guess what? They doing it as Americans. They getting up and they casting their vote and they letting their voice be heard. Now the same thing applies to you. Anybody in the sound of my voice. November's coming real fast. You need to get up, perform your civic duty, and go vote, please. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, okay? Now, y'all know that they had Amy Coney Barrett nominated for the Supreme Court. She went through, you know, her hearings. She did pretty good, real good. She ain't even have notes. They was asking all kind of crazy questions. The woman was asking the questions off the top of her head, like she knew everything, which seems like she did. And now they're moving on to the second step. You know, they're going to put it in committee, and then from there, they're going to put it to the Senate for a floor vote. Now, we all know how that's going to go. Every Democrat's going to vote against her, and every Republican is going to vote for her except for Susan Collins, because she got some issues. Now, we got some really serious stuff going on with these tech companies, and I know you noticed that there's a big uproar going on right now about the way, you know, Twitter didn't report the findings of these emails on Joe Biden's son Hunter. Where's Hunter Biden? Now, seems that earlier, let's do a little background here. A little earlier, Joe Biden was asked about this. You know, was asked about his son's deal in it with Burisma, a Ukrainian energy company. He had no experience in energy, but they paid this man vast amounts of money. Well, Joe Biden said he never discussed with his son any of his son's business dealings, okay? Well, the emails didn't show otherwise. But I digress. We still have to ask the question, if we ain't going to talk about Burisma, then can we talk about how come the wife of the mayor of Moscow gave this man millions of dollars? Okay. If we can't talk about that, then can we kind of discuss why some of the emails have Biden corresponding with a Chinese businessman and saying that to the effect some of their business dealings could really help his family? We can't talk about any of those. Because it seemed like Twitter didn't want us to talk about them. Twitter didn't even want that information to be out. So they kind of washed it out. So now, Twitter, is the head chief officer, that owner, I guess, and all the other, there's three of them. Google, the Google executive, and Mark Zuckerberg from Facebook are all being called to the Senate. So they can ask these people, why do they feel that they should still hold on to that exemption? Why do they feel that they have the right to, in essence, censor any information, especially if it's coming from a conservative side? Interesting. But I digress. We're not going to get into that too deep. Well, seems that a lot of places are still on that lockdown thing. They don't want the kids to go to school, even though they seem to be 99.9% capable of handling this virus a whole lot better than someone, say, in their 70s or 80s. But they still want to use the excuse that the schools should stay shut down. Doesn't make much sense to me, but hey, these are the things that people in charge do. Not the little guy, people up top, the ones we vote for. Excuse me. Had to wet my palate. And I just don't get it. Because if you notice, in some parts of the country that's open, they're doing pretty good. Unemployment is pretty low in those areas. But in other areas that's being put in taking these draconian type measures to lock us down, those economies aren't doing very well. Now, Trump came to Nancy Pelosi and offered up 1.8 in a coronavirus bill. Nancy wants, I think, 2.2 or 2.4. Now, the president also said that he would come up. But here's the thing. She doesn't want to make any type of deal with the president this close to the election so that he can use it as a benefit. But again, not paying attention to the American people's need. It doesn't make a difference if she passes the bill and he signs the bill and both of them go up on Capitol Hill and start, blowing each other off, talking about, hey, you did it for me and I did it for you, but we did it for the American people. But the problem is the American people are suffering while this stupidity is taking place. People are having a hard time paying their bills. People are having a hard time getting from point A to point B. You still have certain areas you want to keep locked down, so how are those people supposed to be able to survive unless Congress, the Senate, the president comes together and passes a bill? Without a whole lot of this, because we all know this is all totally political. It's not even about anything else other than that. It's not that they saying they don't have the money. We know they got the money. You know how we know they got the money? Because they got it from us. So we know they got the money. They even said, well, they got money that they haven't even spent from the last time they passed, okay? They haven't spent all that. But now you're sitting up here bickering like two kids over a popsicle. It makes no sense. While the rest of us suffer day by day, going through all our little changes, trying to pay our bills, trying to get from point A to point B. It's enough to infuriate the elected. I mean the electric. I can't get my mouth right. Listen. The point I'm trying to make is that we elect these people. And this is what we get for our efforts, bickering, trying to jockey for position. Each side is jockeying for a position right now. And it doesn't look good, doesn't sound good, and for those that's having a hard time out there, guess what? It don't feel good either. It would seem to me that both parties would need to come to some consensus that the American people are more important than your career. Because the bottom line is, once we get tired and everybody come to some type of understanding out here on these streets, out there in them hills, back up on them mountains, down in them valleys, that we are tired of going through this every election cycle. And this is unique. This is totally unique. Now, other times, might have a war going on somewhere, but when haven't we? Might have a hurricane going on somewhere, or a flood going on somewhere, or a couple of tornadoes going on somewhere. We have a pandemic going on right now. This is different. And these people act like it's just no big deal. Okay, keep your PPE, put on your mask, go where you gotta go, try to make it, and all this other crap. But you can't make it when your restaurant is at 25% capacity. You can't make it when you have places that are not allowed to fully open up for the fear of coronavirus. And some of these measures, I mean, come on now, you're gonna shut down a gym, workout facility. I'm quite sure if they got to like 50% capacity, they probably wouldn't have a problem with social distancing. But they will be able to function. They will be able to continue on until things got better. But if you got them down to 25 and 35% capacity, that's not good. They can't pay their bills off that. They can't even live off that. But governors in certain states, in certain locations, authorities in certain states, in certain locations, believe that it's safer to just shut it down. Okay. Did you guys hear about the black passenger on the Southwest Airlines flight? Got kicked off that flight because he was eating some peanuts. He had to take his mask down eating peanuts. I don't think peanuts go straight through your mask. Okay. But here's the thing. Even though he was a black man eating peanuts on a Southwest flight, the problem was not that he was black. The problem was he was a black Trump supporter. Now, have we all lost our minds? Are we that stuck into politics so deeply that we are sitting up here doing things that make absolutely no sense whatsoever? I mean, just hearing that, does that make sense to you that a man, you got on a later flight, okay, but he was still inconvenienced because the attendant didn't happen to like the hat he was wearing, or the t-shirt he was wearing, or the mask he was wearing, which all may have said Trump. Come on now. This makes no sense. All the things we're hearing, all the things that we're, look, if civility is the key, then can't some of us just be simple and civil to one another, even though your political affiliation may be different from my own? Can't we just stop all this immature, childish BS? Because truth of the matter is, at the end of the day, the election going to be over with. Somebody going to win, and life goes on. Are we still going to be running around here acting just as stupid at that point? Just a question. The phone lines will be open. Wow. I just was seeing some things before my eyes. Never mind. Look at it. The phone lines will be open, so you will be able to call in with your opinion about all of this. But this is one thing I would like to know. Because remember now, this is facts and opinion. I'm trying to understand the Democrats' resistance to Amy Coney Barrett. Now, I understand about Merrick Garland, okay? They didn't let him, when Obama picked him, they didn't give him a hearing, they didn't sit him down, whatever. But, come on now. The rules are the rules. If the president happened to be a Democrat, he can pick a nominee for the Supreme Court. It's constitutional. If the Senate, who has the right to consent and advise the president on his nomination, can either refuse to hear or accept it. Come on now. You think the Democrats would do the same thing if they were placed in that same position? Come on now. All this is so hypocritical. And it's a waste of time. Valuable time that can be used doing other things. Except other than trying to keep a legitimate, constitutionally chosen, properly vetted woman off of the Supreme Court. Now, Democrats can't even argue this point because no matter how you want to look at it, their argument would be totally hypocritical. Now, they didn't pick, or shall I say, Trump did not pick a man to replace Justice Ginsburg. Didn't do that. Didn't do it at all. He picked a woman, a very qualified, knowledgeable woman to put on the Supreme Court to replace Justice Ginsburg. Now, her judicial philosophy may not be the same as Justice Ginsburg. But here's the thing. Democrats complain because the court now would be basically more conservative. They would like to have the Supreme Court be another branch, another legislative branch that is unaccountable to the voter, has lifetime tenure, and they would like for them to be able to change the rules of the way this country is governed. Now, we hear about this court packing. Excuse me. We hear a lot about this court packing that took place all this week, where these Republicans are scared that if Democrats take control of the Senate this year, they would get rid of the filibuster. They also would prepare themselves to stack the court, and they would send that to the president, which, if it is Joe Biden, he would begin picking his nominees, which would mean the court would have an inordinate amount of individuals on it. Okay? Now, you got 9. Now, if you want to overweight the court, then you actually would have to put more justices on the court to outweigh the conservative side. Now, here's how this gets crazy. Guess what? What if a president, say for instance, a Republican, gets elected after this time? Remember now, these people have lifetime tenure. Now, what does that Republican president do? He adds more weight to the scale. That means that he will nominate, let me get it right now. The next president that is a Republican after this takes place, he's elected and you have a Republican Senate. Then guess what? That president nominates as many people as he wants to weigh the scales out in his favor. This could have a runaway effect. But this is what Democrats are proposing. And you also have the leader of the Democrat Party, that would be Joe Biden right now. He won't answer the question one way or the other directly, because he has the fear that his radical left, he would lose. If he said no, he wouldn't pack the court. And he know that he would lose a lot, quite a bit of the independents if he said that, yeah, he would pack the courts. He's walking a tightrope, and believe me, he's going to come down on one or the other eventually. But he said you have to wait till you elect him to find that out. Yeah, he said that. Don't ask me, I don't know. Okay. Did you hear about, see, this is why I say Democrat Party done lost their minds. From the John F. Kennedy time until now, I don't know what happened to them. Okay, these guys done just went buck wild. But we're not talking about the rank and file. I keep repeating myself. We're talking about the leadership as well as some of these cafe latte drinking liberals. Okay. Now, earlier this week, after the Amy Coney Barrett hearings, okay, Dianne Feinstein, Democrat of California, gave Lindsey Graham, Republican, a hug, their colleagues. All of a sudden, there's a call to remove Dianne Feinstein from her position. Democrat leadership, they're eating themselves, okay? Did that make any sense? The woman been there, she's been there a long time. And, I don't necessarily agree with all the politics and everything like that, especially from the Democrat side. But Dianne Feinstein has been pretty much, let's just say, she falls in the line of Ted Kennedy, the Lion of the Senate. Remember him? Chappaquiddick. We ain't gonna talk about all that. We're gonna get past that. But she's been there just that long to where it'd be kind of hard not to see her there. Now, I do believe in term limits, but if you've been there so long, just wouldn't look right when you come in there and don't see you no more. Especially if you ain't did really too much to me. So I kind of, Dianne Feinstein, you all right with me. I just don't think they should be riding you out like that because you gave that man a hug and he's the opposite party. Now, that just lets me know just how extreme the Democrat Party has become over the course of time. You are watching Facts and Opinion with JR. And we're going to keep it real with you here. Hey, check it out. We're going to give you the phone number right now to call in because the show is live. All right? Phone lines are open. Phone number is 313-355-6018. If you got an opinion about any of this, or you got any questions, or maybe you can answer some of my questions, hey, feel free to call in. And we can talk about it. Now, one thing I got to keep on repeating. Please go vote. All right? I shouldn't have to say this, but apparently I have to remind you guys. Sometimes you don't get up and do your civic duty. Go vote, okay? Now, seems to me Joe Biden's platform is he wants to raise your taxes, okay? Now, let's keep it real. Every politician, you got to read between the lines. Sometimes they tell you the truth by accident, and sometimes they tell you the truth for real and tell you to accept it. Now, if Joe Biden is saying he wants to raise taxes by $3 trillion on big business and anyone making $300,000 to $400,000, let me put this in your head. Small businesses fall clearly under that tax bracket. He wants to remove the taxes or the tax breaks that Trump put in, the middle class tax breaks. Again, that's raising your taxes. Look, the politics of envy is ridiculous. I've always thought it was. Because this man got more than I got, I want you to take it from me. What's that? Distribution? Redistribution? Don't need your help on that, bruh. I can do bad by myself. Don't need that. So for you to raise the taxes on this man and for me to support you doing that means that if I ever got to where that man is, you're going to hit me with that. And maybe I don't want that. Just simple look, it's common sense. I know they say common sense isn't common anymore, but it's just simple common sense. I ain't never got a job from a poor man, and I have always asked for a raise or significant, monetary enhancement from the employer that I'm working for, and 9 times out of 10, he got a few more dollars than I do. So I'm trying to get where he at. But if the government takes that money out of this man's hands, he can't put any more in yours. That's just how it is. That's just simple. If Joe Biden wants to run for president and he's saying that he wants to raise $4 trillion in taxes on businesses, corporations, it's not, if you're under $300,000, we're not going to raise your taxes. Don't you? Well, the vast majority of us are under $300,000. A lot, almost all of us are under $300,000, okay? But the ones that are above us on that $300 rack, those are the ones we probably work for. Those are the ones we are employed by. So that puts pressure on them. It puts pressure on the whole system, especially when you want to raise taxes in the middle or at the beginning of a recovery. All that does just smothers the whole idea of coming back to life. Now, there's so many economists that say the same thing, so it's not as if I'm just, preaching to the choir. A bunch of economists will tell you that if you raise taxes in a recession or coming out of a recession, you can then reverse the upward trend straight into a depression. This is what Biden wants to do. Remember now, he's been there 47 years. If the man knew how to run things in this country, better than what they being ran right now? Don't you think some of his ideas would have been applied? Like I said, I find it hard to vote for somebody such as Biden when you came up with a crime bill that put a lot of us in prison for no apparent reason, unequally, unfairly. And then when you had the opportunity to right that wrong under the Obama administration, you were the vice president. Did you? Did you, Joe? No, you didn't. And the president didn't even encourage you to do it either. So what makes us think that right now you're going to be down for criminal justice reform, that you're going to be down with the police, not defunding the police, that you're going to be down for law and order, when it seems like to me you stand more for chaos? The only thing I'm saying is that at this political heated up season that we have right now, everybody's drawn to their corners. And everybody's making their decisions. And those that haven't made their decisions probably won't be making them because they don't want to even be involved. But the ones that have or are considering, they really looking at this deep. Okay. What? Okay. If we can have 2 town halls on the same night on 2 different channels, why in the hell couldn't we have a debate? I'm waiting. Couldn't have a debate. But we had 2 town halls. 2. On one night, 2 different stations. Savannah Guthrie, I don't know, she was like a pit bull after a steak when she was interviewing Trump for the town hall. She spoke for almost 20 minutes. They didn't get none of the people in the audience the opportunity to say anything or even ask any questions of the president. The flip side, you go to Joe Biden. His town hall was Stephanopoulos. You know, I don't know what that was, but let's just say the way Stephanopoulos was questioning Biden made me feel like Stephanopoulos was going to get up and pat him on the back and lay him down in the bed and cover him up with a nice little blanket and nighty-night. Because he didn't ask no questions of him. This is right after the emails come out about his son's dealings, unscrupulous dealings around the world. But Stephanopoulos never took the opportunity to question him about it. Twitter wouldn't let none of that information come out on their platform. Facebook wouldn't let none of that come out on their platform as well. Does it seem as if, the deck is weighed against the president? Does it seem as if MSM, the mainstream media, may have been in cahoots to give such a bad look at our current president? Do you think he get a fair shot? Even if you don't like him, let's just be real. Even if you don't like the man, personality-wise, do you think he get a fair shot? Now, it's just a common sense individual. I don't subscribe to everything the man say, but you don't subscribe to everything anybody says. You don't. You look for results. What have you done? Not what can you say to me or how you say it. What have you done? I look at results. First president in my lifetime that actually got elected on what he said he was going to do and did more than that. But people complain because they draw to their own corners, which I'm not tripping about. Okay, I'm not. A lot of people love the hell out of Obama. I don't think he did much. Won a Nobel Peace Prize, and in my opinion, he got it because he was black when the first black president. Because there's nothing that they can point to say, you deserve the Nobel Peace Prize. That's just my opinion. Remember, facts and opinion. That's what this show is. Don't hate the don't hate the messenger. Just hate the message, I guess. I don't know. But the fact of the matter is, Trump has in my opinion, done more to win a Nobel, or at least he got nominated 3 times for working in the Middle East to try and stop some of the wars over there and all the killing. He was nominated 3 times. I don't think he's going to get it. Well, really, I know he's not going to get it. You have nothing but a bunch of liberals running that whole organization. Do you honestly think the most hated man on the planet is going to get it? Talking about on the other side. Hated by the other side. At the President's State of the Union address that these Democrats speak on so highly about, they're for the downtrodden, the black man, the Mexican man, Spanish man, they for everybody. We got a big tent, that's what they say. But when it came to the State of the Union and the President said record low unemployment in the black community, not one Democrat stood, Joe Manchin, West Virginia, he stood up. But not one Democrat other than him stood up and applauded that. That is a disgrace. The one time that the black community was able to look in their pockets without being given it, they went out and worked for it. The opportunity was placed before them and they took it. They were self-sustaining. And you mean to tell me the Democrat Party did not even stand up? You didn't have to clap. You didn't have to clap. You could have just stood up for that. That was something that had never been achieved in this country. Never. But you couldn't even applaud that. So that lets me know how you really feel. It doesn't make a difference who did it. It makes a difference what happened. That's your problem. That's your real problem. Is that for every accomplishment that this man brings forth, it shows that your game is weak as hell. Weak as hell. Every time you come to me and say that, we're going to put a Planned Parenthood in your backyard. Planned Parenthood in my backyard, in my community. All you doing is just standing firm on what Margaret Sanger was all about. Margaret Sanger was about eugenics. Margaret Sanger was about getting rid of the inferior races. Margaret Sanger was held in high esteem by Hillary Clinton. Go look it up. All this is doing is perpetuating a lie. You claim to be for the black people. You claim to be for the black race. I'm talking about your party. But everything that has been achieved in this small amount of time, you totally against it. Opportunity zones being set up in poor and impoverished areas. You didn't do it, but the current president did, and you're mad about it. How is it that you want to claim the black vote when something good happens for black people? You seem to be real salty about that. But I digress. Excuse me, I'll have to wet my palate. Now, you are watching Facts and Opinion with JR. Okay, can we get into the idea that some of us just need to look... Oh, wait a minute, hold up. While we dealing with this smoke screen of stuff going on with these politics, we keep forgetting that, doomsday clock is set at 100 seconds to midnight. Oh, I'm sorry. The Bureau of Atomic Scientists, all right, their doomsday clock is set at 100 seconds to midnight, close as ever been. And you can understand this by all of the things that's going on around the world. China bumping heads with the U.S. in the South China Sea. China bumping heads with India over the Himalayas. China bumping heads with South Vietnam. Vietnam, Malaysia. And, oh my God, so many countries over there right now they bumping heads with. You have to also remember, Russia put 100,000 troops on their border with China. This was all last week, all right? And you still got Azerbaijan and Armenia bumping heads. And you wonder why the clock is set at 100 seconds to midnight. But we all absorbed with these politics. And in my opinion, politics of envy. Because you want me to hate this guy because he got more money than I do. Or you want me to hate this guy because you say he's racist and I don't see it. But it is what it is. The one thing that I keep trying to tell everybody, You better pay attention, because when you draw off to your corner and something pop off, at the end of the day, we all going to have to come together just to maintain. Because all this silliness is going on, Republican, Democrat, Independent, liberal, conservative, it's all stupid. Because if you're looking at what you're looking at, you can't really deny the facts. We can argue about personalities, yes we can, but you can't deny the facts, because these facts, they sting a lot of people. They hurt a lot of people because they don't like that. Let's be real about it. All right. It interferes with the whole structure of control that a lot of people have set up in order to get what they want at the easy pace. If you disrupt that, you're going to end up with a lot of enemies, i.e. John Trump. He's got a lot of enemies because he done shook up the apple cart. You got all these released emails showing that Hillary Clinton in 2016 actually ran this plan to connect him with these Russians and stuff to throw off the smoke screen about her emails. And this is all just coming out now, 4 years after the fact. That just lets you know the legal system, justice system is something crazy around here. All right? You have to get through one election, go all the way through to another election before you found out what happened in the first election. Did that make any sense? That makes no, this is just some kind of Freudian knot or whatever that these people got drawn up together, where they want your mind off of what's really going on. What's really, look, you think all this stuff is going on for no reason? Just simple. Do you honestly think all of the stuff that I've mentioned to you, the Middle East, China, Russia, all this stuff, you honestly think this is all going on for no reason? They sitting up here building bombs, building hypersonic weapons. They're not doing that just because they can. Because if that was the case, they'd have been built them years and years ago. They getting to it right now in a fever pitch. And they doing it for a reason. And we're sitting up here debating. And check out what the debate is now. We're sitting up here debating each other over personality. Not substance, personality. If that man didn't tweet, if that man didn't do this or that man didn't do that, y'all still find a reason to dislike him. He could be walking on water. Y'all still hate his guts. Talking about Donald J. Trump. And the other side feels the same. Joe Biden could be the best person on the face of the planet. You got a bunch of Republicans wouldn't walk over his grave, okay? Nah, I don't know, though. We're a little bit better than that, so I don't know. I take that back. We might walk around it, okay, but might not walk over it. But the point being is, this is toxic. The attitudes that we having towards this election cycle is toxic. It is disgustingly nasty. You have people pulling out yard sign. Really, you gonna get out your car and go pull somebody's yard sign out, say Trump 2020 or Biden Harris 2020? Y'all mean tell me you that damn petty? Really, you take a few minutes out your day to go catch a case. Because really, that's breaking the law. You run up in somebody's yard, taking their little yard signs, showing their political, affiliation. That's kind of wrong. I think that people might have spent some money on them signs. I ain't never had one because I don't do them yard signs. But I just say it like it is. I don't need to put signs out in front of my house saying I'll go this way or I'll go that way. And in my neighborhood, I probably wouldn't want to do that anyway. But the point I'm saying is, and I should be able to if I want to. That's the point. I should be able to if I want to. But I ain't trying to get that heat. I ain't trying to have my neighbors looking at me funny. That's a sad state of affairs. We didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Excuse me, I wet my palate. You didn't have to worry about that kind of stuff. Oh, yeah? Look, I know in the press they saying that the president put up this wall down there between Mexico and the United States, and they not going to pay for the wall. But let me bring this up to you. That's a bald-faced lie, all right? It was clear how they was going to pay for that wall. It was clear to me how the Mexicans was going to pay for that wall before they even started that wall. You get a lot of traffic come across that border. All you got to do is raise the toll. And they pay for the wall. Common sense. I mean, even the president, he just started talking about it on this campaign, is that they're going to pay for the wall. So all you got to do is just raise the toll. And take out a little something extra in remittances. That's the money that they make here and they send back there. You just charge a little bit more to do that. And that wall is paid for. And it ain't coming out the taxpayer's pocket. These are the side lies that they tell you. Oh, yeah, we're going to pay for that wall. They not going to pay for that wall. Have they paid for the wall? Yeah, but it's being paid for real. They paying for the wall when they got them troops down there at their border, keeping people from the south coming up this way. Who you think paying the Mexican troops? It ain't us. They got to pay for that. So, in essence, they are paying for that wall. Quit being lied to. A little common sense help you a long way. Get you a lot further than what you think. Because when you sit up here letting people tell you something, that means that they got you. You know, that what they say, that old saying, got you by the balls. That's what they doing. They telling you one thing because they playing off your passions. They playing off your emotional connection to this or emotional connection to that. So you don't have the opportunity to think of a logical sense that if you're telling me this, then why are you telling me this? Are you telling me this for my benefit? Are you telling me this for my safety? Are you telling me this to control me? And are you telling me the full story? Are you telling me the whole story? Are you telling me part of the story? Somewhere in there is the truth, but a lot of that ends up being a lie. And I'm not talking about just Democrat. I'm talking about Republican too. If you can't use a little common sense and weed through the BS, then you need to stop. Just stop, because they got you. Got you right by the balls. Because you can't sit down and think logically. If you know what man is all about, then you understand man has a nature of controlling. It goes back, all the way back since our creation. You think because we became a little civilized, a little bit more educated, that we're still not into some type of control of one another? Or, put it like this. Now that you done went to college, you done got all these Ivy League schools under your belt, and you done had all types of social, all type of social education, and you done had psychoeducation, and you done got into the brain. Now you really know how to work your magic. So you mean to tell me that a motivated, encouraged, power-hungry person can't use what they've been taught to screw you? It happens every day. And what makes the day any different? So that's why we have to use our own brains. We have to use our own ideas and leave the emotion out of it. Look at what works for you and look at what doesn't work for you at all. All you have to do is just go vote. Make your voice heard. Let these people know you're not standing for all the rigmarole of the past. You want something new. And even if it is personality over substance, I mean, if that's what you think you need to live, then cast your vote that way. Me, myself, I prefer substance over personality. I prefer someone that will tell me exactly what they're going to do and then do it. I don't want to hear about what you said you're going to do and you've been here for 74 years. I mean, that's old. You've been here 47 years and haven't done any of it. And everything that you have done actually shows not too well in the history books. So, having said that, like I said, the phone lines are open. If you're on, phone number 313-355-6018. You'll be on with Facts and Opinion with JR. I'm the host. And we can see what you want to talk about. But I'm still talking, excuse me. Now, if we're supposed to be asking ourselves, why did the president create the Space Force? Another branch of the military. There hasn't been another branch of the military in over 70 years. Now we have to ask ourselves, what's Space Force all about? Well, upon coming into office, President had found out that the Russians and the Chinese are spending an inordinate amount of money on having the upper ground, the higher ground. The highest ground is outer space. Got satellites out there and so on and so forth, but they didn't want, or they say they're not trying to weaponize space. That's a treaty in the United Nations that everybody had signed, but we would not, put nuclear weapons in orbit and all that other kind of stuff, keep us from blowing ourselves up. But they're still weaponizing space in a different way. And we need to ask ourselves for more information. We need to ask ourselves, do we need more information about what's going on with the Space Force? Because myself, I don't know too much about them. I just hear him talk about them, and it's like, okay, what do you guys do? Now, as an American, I don't think my government supposed to keep any secrets from me. You can keep them from the Chinese. You can keep them from the Russians. Hey, don't even tell Turkey shit, even though they're part of NATO. But you can't keep it from the American people. So I would like more information, and I think you would too, about what the Space Force stuff is all about. Now, they talking about putting in 5G. That's controversial as well. It's not completely set up, but if you notice, 5G, it was a race for that over in China. They got their 5G system set up just this past week. And they can only run it from 9 o'clock in the morning until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Yeah. Something about it's not being used that widely. But it also could have something to do with their economy is taking a real nosedive since the United States side decided to decouple from China. Look, one thing about China is that under any other president, we seemed like we were beholden to them people. Under this president, they done got the whole world sick, and we trying to get away from them. Now, I myself think that's a good idea. Because if you have a country who 10, maybe 20 years ago, you've seen them creeping up on you to get where you are, to your superpower status, it would seem like to me you would kind of slow your roll. But presidents before now didn't really take that under consideration. Now, China has the world's largest, well, they've been had the world's largest military. They got 1.2 million people in uniform, maybe a little more. They also have the world's largest navy now. I think that's because sequestering and the sequestering thing that they did in the Senate and the House of Representatives, where they kind of cut back on defense spending. Well, it has a price when you do that kind of stuff. And that's why China finds themselves quite emboldened to do a lot of things and say a lot of things that under a different set of circumstances probably wouldn't be that big of a deal. But when we have the doomsday clock at like 100 seconds to midnight, kind of make you wonder, how close are we again? Because these people they're not gonna stop. They're not gonna pump their brakes. China made it quite clear they're not about to pump their brakes. And you will wonder why they so animate about this area. Well, there's a lot of oil, natural gas, and minerals in the area. But here's the big problem. They're not the only ones in the area. And that's where the rub kick in. And all those other little nations are not buying it. Now, the only reason we find ourselves deeply, if you ask me, the only reason we find ourselves deeply involved in any of this is that freedom of navigation is one thing, because trillions of dollars in shipping comes through that area. But not only that, you sent a virus out that made the whole world sick, and you didn't try to stop that. So why should we show you any love? Lay back off of what you're trying to do and know that your end result of all of this is total world domination by economic means? We can't sit back off of that. That's why Trump got, the military, the Navy flying through there almost every week now on the freedom of navigation, so that they can understand that they don't own any rights to that area of the world. Okay? Just because the sea is called South China and your land is called China does not mean you own the water. Okay? You don't own the right to all of that. I think it's 200 miles off your coast is where you draw the line at. And I think that's what every country, every nation. I think it's 200 miles past your coast, and anything beyond that is international waters, and you're good on that. You can go wherever you want to. But within that 200-mile area, I think that's a jurisdiction for every country to be able to, control that area legally. But China don't want that. They want the whole South China Sea, and that's not, it's not going to happen. So in order for us to, counter that, it's going to get ugly, because, they trying to reunify Taiwan with them, and Taiwanese is not buying that, Now, we were actually talking about taxes earlier, so let me just slide back there one time. Now, Joe Biden said that he is for raising taxes, but how he did it in a slick way was that he said he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. All right, now check this out. That sounds good if you're into the politics of envy, but if you're into just the politics of life, that don't work. Because when you remove the Trump tax cuts, you in essence raise taxes. That's one. Then if you say you're going to raise taxes on businesses, again, that's not going to work. Because small businesses are owned by individuals, and they also filed their businesses in some cases as a different way, as a personal thing. You know, they put their personal taxes on that. So now you personally raising their taxes. Just let's be critical. I mean, serious about that. There's no need to even pay, half butt about it. That's what's going on. They want to raise your taxes, which is going to kill the economy. They up and telling you, on this scary stuff about they're going to take away your health care. They're going to just make your life a living hell. I don't believe any of that, but only thing I can tell you is trust in the Lord, believe in yourself, and know that things are going to get much better real soon. But the one thing we're going to need to do is get out of this mindset that we are enemies. We're not enemies. We're family. I own no rights to this music, but we're family, and we should all love each other. This has been Facts and Opinion with JR. I've enjoyed you. Come see me tomorrow. See you guys later. I'm out. Well, we're getting ready to shut it down up in here. But I thought you guys would like to hear a little something on my way out the door. How you like that? Well, I like that. Yeah. That's how we chill. See you guys later.